Hey everyone, welcome to the May version of the Reading Research Recap. And for this month, we actually have a reader request. So I was asked to do this study, cover it in a little bit more detail, in depth, kind of unpack the findings. And I actually want to say I really appreciate that because this took me outside of my comfort zone a little bit and my content area expertise. And so I actually ended up learning a whole lot. And the title of the paper is How SES May Affect Reading Comprehension and Vocabulary in Language Minority, Bilingual, and Monolingual Children. Kind of a mouthful, and we'll unpack some of those definitions here in a second, but this sort of too long, didn't watch, well, you should watch to the end of my video, but if you don't want to watch to the end of my video, this summary is that SES, so socioeconomic status, plays a much larger or more influential role than does language status. So language status, monolingual, bilingual, that kind of washes out after a while of schooling, after a few years of schooling, whereas SES still matters and influences vocabulary and comprehension. And the authors did some mediation analyses. So if you do stick around, you'll see kind of how they tease apart how exactly SES influences both vocabulary and comprehension. All right, let's dive right in. The researchers administered various tests of comprehension, vocabulary, and a few other different tests to 122 children in Italy. About 54% were monolingual Italian speaking, about 46% were language minority bilingual children. This means they had been exposed to an L1, so a first language other than Italian, within the family context from birth. And the designation of language minority means that these were languages spoken by less than 50% of the local population. So some of these included Arabic, Albanian, Chinese, Romanian, etc. All right, so what were the results? So I'm going to try and break down their analyses and results as simply as possible. We'll see if I succeed in this. So the first thing they did is they ran a series of hierarchical regressions. The regressions showed them that only SES mattered, not language status. So being bilingual after a few years of schooling no longer affected the scores on vocabulary and comprehension measures. Then to sort of follow up, so now we know that language status, being bilingual, kind of doesn't matter as much for these 9 to 11-year-olds. They followed these regressions up with mediation analyses, and they ran 2 of these. They ran SES's influences on reading comprehension, mediated, we'll do it right here, mediated by vocabulary. So does SES influence vocabulary, which influences reading comprehension? We know SES has a direct influence on reading comprehension, but does vocabulary also play a role? Answer was yes. Then they flipped it around, vocabulary and comprehension, and wanted to see if SES influences vocabulary through comprehension. And yes, that was also significant. And that's this sort of cyclical switching places between comprehension and vocab, that's not super surprising. We know that vocabulary, having a broader vocabulary is going to help you with reading comprehension. And we also know that reading more is going to help you discover new words and learn new meanings for them. So not super surprising there. All right, so as a teacher, what does this study mean you should do? Well, it doesn't mean you should do anything different. Really just get your bilingual children to proficiency in vocabulary knowledge and reading comprehension skills. Those are going to mitigate the effect of SES. So nothing too groundbreaking here. It's just keep on doing what you're already doing. All right, so that's all that I have for May, and I'll see everyone in June.